TGC Requiem here. We are back with Grixis Shadow, or Shadow Grixis. We're on the play, and not necessarily a particularly great hand. A bit land heavy. We do have some good interaction. This deck tends to favor having a little more land than other versions. Just trying to think if we actually want to run this or not. I think we can do a little bit better. That looks a little bit better. So we'll keep that one there. And then we don't mind having that third land on the top. We're going to lead on Blood Crypt into Inquisition here. Just a moment. Alright, so typically like to lead on Inquisition over Thoughtseizes just because you get a good look, you're more likely to hit something with Inquisition, and if you do it early, got some sort of Aristocrats deck here. His only turn one play is double Viscera Seer. It's a sack outlet obviously for his deck. Blood Artist and Zulaport Cutthroat are going to be his combo pieces. I think Blood Artist is just a little bit better, right? Creature you control dies, each opponent loses one. Where Blood Artist, whenever Blood Artist or another creature, yeah. So we're actually gonna take the Dark Confidant here. We just don't want him to have the card advantage. Actually, we can take Dark Confidant with the next one. We're gonna get rid of the Blood Artist right here. Viscera Seer, no surprise. Cartel Aristocrat. Sacrifice another creature, Cartel Aristocrat. Gains protection from the color of your choice. Actually, I'm going to take the Cartel Aristocrat here. This could cause some problems for our removal. Although he is kind of pinched on mana, so Dark Confidant seems a little bit better. He can't actually even cast the Cartel Aristocrat right now. So we'll just go ahead and take the Dark Confidant. And probably just plan to Thought Scour on our opponent's end step. Curious if this is black-white Aristocrats or like Abzan. So hit the Zulaport Cutthroat here. Just taking a quick peek. So he's going to help drain our life. We don't want to do too much work, but we do need another black source. All right. So I think here we're just going to plan to can either kill his Viscera Seer and make him discard a card or return the Death Shadow. I think we want to return the Death Shadow. I'll try and do that at end step. Alright, Doom Traveler gives him multiple sack outlets. We're actually going to kill off the Zulaport Cutthroat here because this is the one that actually does damage to us. So we're actually going to instead go for the return target creature from graveyard and do 2. I think right now we definitely want the Death Shadow. And then we're going to kill the Zulaport Cutthroat to turn off his combo. See if he ends up sacking Doom Traveler to gain a few points of damage. Yep, so he's going to sacrifice a Doom Traveler. It's going to gain him a life, lose us a life. Gets him a Scry, left the card on top. Then presumably sacks the Cutthroat. Yep. All this makes our shadow a little bit bigger, but we are going to have a little bit of trouble getting the race on if he comes up with another Zulaport type effect. I think we definitely want to be thinning here, so I'm going to play out the Verdant Catacombs. I also really don't want him to get anything else of value onto the battlefield. Fatal Push. Oh, that is timely. Thankfully, we at least will have somewhat of a quick clock. Presumably, he's going to attack with the Spirit for sure. I would expect to see another Viscera Seer here at least. Though if he puts a Cartel Aristocrat down, he can actually just chump block, sacking his creatures to both scry and delay us. So the hope here now is that as we attack into him, he actually, and I've totally missed my fetch there, that he blocks with Aristocrat, gives himself protection from black. Spirit's the biggest problem here behind Cartel Aristocrat. So this is going to make him sacrifice a creature. It's possible, and actually I think I just punted now that I think about this. If he plays Viscera Seer out there, we just kill the Viscera Seer, we're down to 1. Oh no, I guess they're not, because we still have to get the damage through. So now we're kind of on a... Yeah, we're in trouble either way there. I was just thinking that if I had let him do that damage to us, it would put us down to 1, which makes us a 12-12. We swing in for what's almost lethal. As it is, there's no point in not fetching here. But we wouldn't have been able to get through his Viscera Seer anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Three, 4, and unfortunately with all the flyers, there's nothing we're really going to be able to do here, so we're just going to go ahead and scoop. Alrighty. So I think we definitely are good with Spellbomb. Liliana's seem good. Anger seems good. Kolaghan's Command, possibly. Collective Brutality could be good since we do need to drain some life. We almost got to play a little more of a control role here, which is a bit of a bummer. If we had Temur Battle Rage, we could be more aggressive, but I think it's possible the extractions are going to be good as well against his what are we trying to say? Against his main combo pieces. Game's going to be a little more grindy. I don't mind cutting a couple Thought Scour. Probably slow down our life damage to ourselves a little bit. And get one more here. I can probably just cut another Thought Scour. Thing is he's going to be able to, Thing is he's going to be able to basically just throw a lot of creatures, get wide. This is that same sort of kind of generic strategy that's pretty good against the shadow decks of getting wide. The difference here is he doesn't have to get wide and necessarily be able to attack for a lot of damage. He is both getting that option while his damage is smaller than, say, a deck like Elves or a more aggressive, zoo style go wide deck. So I think we're good here. We'll keep this. So while he's he's doing less damage with his creatures himself, since they're all pretty much 1 or 2 power max. What he is doing is he's draining us for life every time they die. Just going to try and delay a little bit here. I want to make sure we're saving the removal for the important spells. Really hoping to hit a land here. Oh, the second Lily is somewhat problematic. We could almost toss her. Part of me wants to collect a Brutality here. Part of me almost wants to ambush Viper with Snapcaster Mage. I think we're just going to hold still, though. So I'm just going to go ahead and ambush Viper here. And the hope is to save this Fatal Push for later, where we can get the actual flying token that potentially presents a problem to Liliana. And that way we can ideally kill it once we hit our land drop here. Of course, we're probably going to get Lingering Souls. So Anger is good if we can get there. We're just having to buy time here, which is frustrating. Don't know that we can do much of anything other than push the token. It's a real bummer. Pretty much going to have to trade the first Liliana. By the way, this art here for the spirit, this one on front, that's art my brother did. I was able to kind of override the file to get that art in there. So while this is not the greatest, we're just going to go ahead and fire this off. Oh, and the Viserys Seer. That's a little more frustrating. So here we're just gonna have to. Yeah, I really think the only way we really claw back from this is after the first Liliana gets killed, casting the second one. So I think we just need to fire this off for basically nothing. I mean, we could. This allows us to cast Tassiger next turn if we don't draw another land yet again. So ideally he'll sack a couple spirits, but most likely he'll just, sack the Zulaport Cutthroat to itself. That's a little bit of a bummer way to potentially end this league if this is what happens. Yeah. So it's possible he takes Anger of the Gods, but most likely he's just going to take Liliana, since that's the only card we realistically are going to be able to cast here for value. And if he can kill the second one, right, so now his plan clearly becomes get some more Lingering Soul tokens out there, and that way when he casts Lily, he goes bye-bye. Brother. So we're pretty much done here. Not a whole lot we can do. Actually, you know what? We probably want to keep that push there just for a potential kill from Snapcaster if we draw into it. This is a little bit of a bummer. There's almost no way we can even draw out of this at this point. Oh yeah, we're done. So he can actually kill everything right now and just cost us the game, and now he just has to kill a couple tokens. So he might as well just go for it right now. So every time he sacks one of these tokens, he's going to gain 2 life, we're going to lose 2 life. So he'll sack a couple tokens here, and I'll just have 6 this here. And that'll drain us out. So that is going to be the end of this league. Unfortunately, we end 0-2 against one of these kind of wide strategy decks that are a problem. And in this case, I think our sideboard plan actually would have done okay for us. However, you can only do so much against like Mana Screw like that, but it's part of the game. So you're going to get some percentage of games where you don't draw that, and likewise you're going to get some percentage where you draw too many lands. You just gotta stay even keeled and know that it's only going to happen semi-small percentage of the time if you build your deck right. So anyway, I do think Grixis Shadow is actually very good. I like the fact that it can play a more controlling role against these wider decks than like Death Shadow Jund can. Obviously, we didn't get to see it there, and I probably misplayed it a little bit against the mono white deck in the first match. But I do think that you actually are set up to have a much more competitive matchup against those decks than you do with Jund, and I do like the counter magic as well. The one in Stubborn Denial, the one thing about this deck that is kind of a little bit of a bummer is you don't have the real threat of a super aggressive draw from Temur Battle Rage. That's Gurmag Angler and Tassiger. While they could do fairly large chunks of damage, the ceiling on Temur Battle Rage with them is a lot lower than it is with Tarmogoyf, rather, who can get up pretty easily in the Jund builds to like a 6 or 7 power. So getting potentially 12 to 14 damage is a lot higher than the Gurmag Angler max ceiling of 10. Especially when you're pairing it with bolts. It's interesting. There may be a way to maybe slide one into the deck, but again, I just don't think it works quite as well here. So that's all. I do like the deck. I do expect to be playing it a bit more here while I learn it a bit more. So probably get some more videos out there for you at some point. But for now, I hope you enjoyed and you have a great weekend.